inspiration whispers in a world that's upside down, where inspiration and purpose is so needed, we find it to help create change. I'm your host
Rileagh.
today. I have a very special guest, Arielle Ford, who is a bestseller of some amazing books. You probably have read some of her books. Number one is The Soulmate Secret. And it's one of your top sellers still around the world. It's been translated in, was it 42? Do I have that number right, Ariel?
It's in 41 countries and 21 languages.
There we go. 41 countries and 21 languages. I must have switched it around, but wow. You have inspired women and men to, after the age 40, go out and still find their soulmate. Could you just elaborate on that story? I think everybody in the audience would love to hear it.
Well, here's what happened to me. So I never had a to-do list that said, oh, I'll become a love and relationship expert. That was like not the plan. But what happened was one morning when I was 43 years old, I woke up really early and I was lying in bed and had my eyes closed and I was going like this. I was trying to find my 25-pound cat, who usually was sleeping with me, but he wasn't there. But what I found was this big expanse of empty bed. And I had this thought, which was, oh shit, I forgot to get married. And I was lying in bed going, how did I get to be 43 and not married? I was living in Beverly Hills. I had this spectacular business. I was going to openings and premieres and parties. I mean, I had it all except no husband. So I decided to use every prayer and process and manifestation ritual I'd ever heard of to see if I could manifest a soulmate. And what happened was it worked. It worked. It exceeded all my expectations. And within a year, I met my husband, who I've now been with for 23 years. And so after this happened, I never really thought about it for a long time, mission accomplished, on to the next thing, until other women over 40 started asking me, well, how did you do that? How do I get a Brian? So I started sharing my process with them, and then it worked for them as well. And then one thing led to another, and the next thing I knew, it became a book, and the book became a bestseller, and I started teaching workshops, and then it took over my life. And that for the last 15 or 16 years, that's what I've been doing, is teaching women how to find love, keep love, and be love.
Beautiful. And you know what I see when you describe that is this huge smile of just this, it just went along and it pulled you in this beautiful direction. But like you said, it wasn't ever your intent. I would like to go ahead and back up a little in regards to what you did before, because from my research, you were pretty inspiring before you even wrote these books. Your businesses, your entrepreneur. Could you please just unpack that for us and we'll talk about it?
I had a company that provided book marketing and book publicity, as well as a literary agency. And so I had clients like Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Don Miguel Ruiz, Neil Donald Walsh, Louise Hay, pretty much everybody in the spiritual self-help space. And the reason that happened was because in the early 90s, I decided that if I was going to do publicity, which I was really good at, I only wanted to work with people, places, and products that were interesting to me. And I was able to come across these little known people that I thought the world needed to hear about, and decided to align my talents with their talents. So I had this hugely successful business. It was lots of fun. It took up all my time and energy. And the only time I ever realized I was alone would be on a Saturday night around 11 p.m. I'd be driving home from a screening or some fun thing, and I'd have no one to talk to. And then I think to myself, oh, okay, on Monday, I'm going to start working on my love life. And then, of course, Monday would come and it would never happen. So it wasn't until I decided to really put my full attention on manifesting love that it happened. And what I discovered is that it's actually very easy. And right now, in the time of COVID, it's actually never been easier to find love than it is right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually true. And if you want, I'll tell you how to do it.
Absolutely. I want to hear about this because I think right now with COVID and what's happening in the world, people feel really isolated. And I have a number of clients right now who who they don't leave their home and they feel like they can't meet anybody. And that's not the truth.
Yeah.
There are people waiting out there for them. So please share.
Okay, so let's start with a couple of basic facts. If you have a desire for something, according to Deepak Chopra, the fact that you have this desire is proof that there's going to be fulfillment of the desire, or you wouldn't have the desire. So if your desire is to find love, then you have to know that it's possible. Now, why is COVID the best time ever to do it? Because there's a million gazillion men and women that want to find love. And there are now the dating apps and the technology to allow you, just like you would shop online with Instacart or Amazon, you can shop online for a soulmate, for a life partner. And the thing that happens is so many people will say, oh, I tried online dating, it didn't work for me. And it's like, yes, I understand. It didn't work for you because you didn't know what you were doing.
Mm.
All right. So there's a way to make it work for you. Just like if you were looking for a job online, everybody knows you go to LinkedIn and there's different these services and you update your resume and you know exactly what you want. You have this absolutely specific clarity. And then you have this resume that details exactly what you're qualified to do and what you're looking to align with. And you don't sit around on the couch crying, thinking, oh, I'm never going to find a job. Right? No, you don't do that. You know that you found work before, you'll find work again. But this is what women do with their love life. It's like, oh, if it's meant to be for me to have love, love will find me. It's like,
You
that's
know
the
what?
stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
It really is, but it is. It's really interesting because one of the things I heard you speak about before is with this. You know, we do have to take action. We have to participate, whether it's money making or partner creating. If we don't take that action, it can't happen. You're asking the universe to give it to you.
And in dating, you have to be visible. And
Yeah.
you can be visible on Match and on, Bumble and all the different sites, in Harmony. There's so many ways to be visible. So what I've done to make it really easy for people is I've created a free, absolutely 100% free online dating guide that they can download at my website. And my website is soulmatesecret.com, soulmatesecret.com. You go to the site and it pops up. It's right in your face. Like you can't miss it. When it pops up, sign up for it. It'll take you by the hand and walk you step by step with everything you need to do to successfully online date, from how to write a killer profile to the very first 3 questions you need to ask on a video chat.
Perfect. And that's just to underline all our viewers today. Please make sure you go visit Arielle's website. It is the book she's talking about is called Online Dating Guide. It's right there for you. Like she said, it pops up. It is perfect. So if this is something that you find value, please, please don't let another day pass you by. It's there for you. Beautiful. So now you also mentioned that clarity. And I think that's really, really important. I think this happens for a lot of inspired people, is that clarity and how specific it was for me, how specific I got mattered, because I started very broad in my relationships. I was way, and then I realized, oh no, I need this until I had that perfect somebody that showed up, and it happened immediately with that perfect alignment. And you mentioned something about dreams in one of your talks. but you dreamt about Brian a little bit
Oh,
before you
yes.
met him.
I got clues in my dreams about him that came to be true. And he literally saw my face in his dreams before we met. So that was
Wow.
magical. But I want to go back to having clarity, because that is the single most important thing you need. You need to know, what is my soul most calling for in a life partner? You need to know, what are the values that are most important to me? And now that we've all been in lockdown for a year or more, you need to ask yourself, is this somebody I could live under one roof with 24/7? Because we will go into lockdown again. Let's not be foolish here. You know, things may be getting better. They're going to get worse again. They're going to get better again. But lockdown is in our foreseeable future. So the things that you might have wanted in a partner 14 months ago have most likely changed, right? Like, you may want somebody, if you wanted somebody who was super high energy, adventure seeker, how to be at the gym 5 days a week, go, go, go. And suddenly they're home. They can't go out. They have no way how to channel their energy, right? You
Right.
have to really think these things through. Like, when you meet somebody, after you get to know them, you have to say, could I be in lockdown with this person? It's an
Mm.
important thing to know.
There's
What are
there's
the values that are most important to you?
there's a super easy way to test. I live on a boat and I sail around the world, and I live with my partner on the boat 24/7. Just live on a boat for a week, you'll find out.
My father always told me the fastest way to get to know somebody was to travel with them, and it's still true. Although in the time of COVID, you can't really be traveling so much, but what you can do because of technology is you can have very in-depth, lengthy video dates,
Yeah.
right? And you can ask questions on video dates that would be totally inappropriate on a first coffee date at Starbucks. You can find out so much information in 15 minutes that before would have been much too personal and probing. But now you can. So I'll give you a for instance. Like, if I were going to do a video chat with a stranger, the first question I would ask them is, who have you been in lockdown with? Right? Oh, I've been with my ex-wife and
Mm.
3 kids so that we can homeschool them. Or no, I've been isolated and all alone. Or I have my ex-girlfriend's my roommate. You're going to find out a lot from this first question. Critical information that you wouldn't ask as a first question in Starbucks. Second question is, what has the best thing been for you about lockdown? What's something good that came out of it? Right? Now, the third question is the most important, which is, what's the worst thing that's happened because of lockdown? And now you're going to find out instantly if this human being has any emotional intelligence, if they have any vulnerability, if they can really be honest and truthful with you. Because no matter how happy and optimistic and rich you are, everybody has suffered in lockdown in different ways. So, in those three questions, which of course you're also going to answer those questions, you're going to know, do I want to ask a fourth question or not? If they're saying, oh no, it's been a breeze. I hate people. I never go out. I don't even walk the dog anymore. I let him out in the backyard. You're like,
Yeah.
you have a wonderful life. I got to go. Hit leave meeting, period, the end. You don't even
Yeah.
need an explanation.
No, no. Oh, that those are awesome questions. And I think they might tie into a little bit into your wabi sabi love, because can you love this person as well? Can you love those little things that you find out?
Well,
Is that
you
something
have
you're
to
able
learn
to
how
do?
to. So here's the fact about marriage nobody knows except for the guy who researched it. So Dr. John Gottman is the head of the marriage lab at the University of Washington. He is the god of all things marriage and relationships, and I idolize him. Gottman has discovered that every single couple, not just some, every single couple has a minimum of 9 irreconcilable differences. These are things you will never agree on. So for most people, the first one is money. One person's a spender, one's a saver. One's always late, one's on time. One's a messy slob, one's a neat Nick perfectionist. And this is normal, but people get divorced and live like it's not normal. It's not normal to get divorced. because of these differences. The whole process of soulmate love and marriage is to learn to love your imperfect partner perfectly.
I love that because we aren't perfect and
We
we have
are
to
imperfect,
love our imperfect selves.
right? And so what
Yeah.
we have to learn to do is stop being judgy and critical and demanding and wanting them to change. They're never going to change. Okay. They're never going to change. So how can we make up new stories about their behavior? Now, of course, the caveat to all of this is that before you say I do to anybody, you choose wisely. You spend a year really getting to know them and getting to know their friends and their family and vice versa, and making sure that you have the 5 things that a happy marriage needs. And what these 5 things are is connection, compatibility, clear communication, which can be learned, chemistry, which is the least important but is important, and the single most important is a shared vision for the future. I want children, you don't want children. No fix for this. I need
No.
to live at the beach. I hate sand between my toes. I live at 14,000 feet. There's no fix for this, right? So you have to have this shared vision for the future. And you can have all the other things. And, oh, I feel like I've known you forever. There's so much lifetime. I don't know how I could live without you. But without this shared vision for the future, when all the feel good feelings of going and being in love go away, which they do and they will, you're left with a human being that you have to love anyway. So it better be somebody that shares your vision of life.
Absolutely. I think that well, like you said, it is the most important thing, but it's so missing. People worry more about the chemistry, worry about more of compatibility
Let's
versus
talk about chemistry for a second and what that really is for the people who don't understand what the state of being in love is, or as I like to call it, the socially acceptable form of insanity. It's your brain on drugs. It's your brain on oxytocin and adrenaline and dopamine and other things I can't even pronounce. And it is the world's greatest drug high. It is like
it
to
is.
die for a drug high, but it's just a drug high. It's nature's trick to get us to procreate so the species doesn't disappear, and it disappears. It lasts 6 months to 3 years. And
Yeah.
then there are new feelings of mature love, but it's not the wild Mr. Toad's wild ride. That's not coming back. And if you think that's what love is, then you're doomed. And here's why you're doomed, because I'm going to tell you what love really is. So love is not a feeling. And there are some good feelings to love. Love is a behavior. Love is a
Mhm.
choice. Love is a
A
decision.
choice.
It's an action. It's a way of being, right?
Yes.
Not a bunch of, oh my God, butterflies in my stomach. If you have butterflies in your stomach, you're in big trouble because that's just chemistry, right? And it's not going to last.
But what I really like about what you said was take that year because usually within the first 3 months you have your first fight right after your first 3 months. You get that first spike of all those wonderful happy brain drugs that we love and get, and then you have that drop and you get your first fight, and then you launch back up into the next 6 months. Roughly, it's not as good because you never get the same high. It's normal, and I love what you said about that being a year. Really test it out.
Yes.
Can you live through those arguments? Can you live through?
Yeah, is this somebody who fights fair? And what are the secrets they're hiding? Because we all show up in our best selves for the first 3 months. So you can't even count what you learn the first 3 months. It's later on, and then you've got to travel with them, and you've got to see how do they handle the pressure of traveling. Now, it doesn't mean just because they handle it badly that you throw them out. It just means that you now know how to prepare for the future. Because people respond differently, but you need to know this about them. You don't want to suddenly get on a 22-hour flight to Hong Kong and find out they're scared of flying. Right?
Oh my goodness, that would be quite the trip.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, absolutely. And, understanding in certain situations the stress. I have extreme stories where we've been on a boat in a storm in the Mediterranean where it sunk finished a couple of years ago, and we were in the storm. And there's enormous stress, and how you work together to handle that, I think, really matters about that long term relationship. Can you support each other and not make it worse?
Right. And not make them wrong, because
Yes.
as human beings, we all need the same thing. Okay. We need air, food, water, love, but mostly we need to feel emotionally and physically safe with our partner. So if you're going to freak out, you need to know that your partner's there to be your safe place to land. He know
Mm,
I'm nervous on the freeways. I've been in a lot of car accidents. Brian understands that I'm nervous on the freeways and he likes to drive fast. So he knows that when I start doing my EFT tapping, it's not personal. I'm just trying to self-soothe because I get nervous. Now he doesn't
yeah.
hold it against me. I'm pretty fearless in lots of areas of my life, except on the 405,
I don't blame you. the car park.
right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So this is great, but I want to reach out to some of our younger viewers just a little bit. You've written some beautiful books called "The Hot Chocolate for the Mystic Lover," "Hot Chocolate for the Mystic Soul," "Hot Chocolate for the Mystic Teenage Soul." And I found this fascinating. I have a preteen, and I just really quickly, if you could just touch on what inspired you to write this, because I think it's really valuable for those younger viewers to feel connected as well.
Well, I have always been interested in mystical, unexplainable experiences because I've had so many of them. So I wrote a whole series of books, Hot Chocolate for the Mystical Soul, and then there's five more behind it. And each book has 101 true stories of mystical, unexplainable experiences. And they're short. It's like a chicken soup book. In fact, the idea for the book came from Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, who sort of gave me the blessing to steal their formula for the book. So, we live in a world of unexplainable times, and it's nice to know we're not alone, that, we may have had a dead grandparent sit on the foot of our bed, hours after they passed on and talk to us, but we're afraid to tell anybody. And then you read a story that happened to me when I was 8 years old. My parents woke me up to say, "We just came to tell you Grandpa Lou just died." And I said, "Oh, I know, Mommy. He was just here telling me, explaining it, that he's always going to be with me and he's now my guardian angel." And they were like, "What?" So, I wrote the stories because A, I'm fascinated by them, and B, pretty much everybody's had one.
Yes. My daughter was 1 years old. My grandmother had recently passed, and I was holding her. She couldn't speak, and she passed away in my parents' house. And I was holding her in my parents' house, and she literally watched something walk by, and she waved from room to room. And I
Us.
looked at my mom, and my mom looked at me, and I went, "I think she just saw Omi." I, you know,
Yeah.
she waved, and it was such a, and there are lots of things that we could all talk about, but I think that I just want to thank you again for that, these inspirations that you're making available for everyone, all the way down for love in the heart space, reminding people that we do this here. Your realization, I want to let everybody know you have them online. Check out your website, because there's so many values to help people create a more inspirational life and live with inspiration and step into that courageous place to be who we want to be, and be specific about that,
Yes.
about your manifestation. So I just want to thank you so much for that. And I just really last quick question is, if you could give anybody anything today about living inspired lives, what would you say? I know it's
You know what? I would absolutely say that miracles happen every single day. And if you have a strong desire or a vision for something, don't let anybody talk you out of it, but know that you have to work hard to co-create with the universe. You know, Amazon one click is not going to send your soulmate to your front door, is not going to send your dream business to your front door. You know, having the vision is one part, and then build, you know, being willing to put in the elbow grease is the other part. But I have witnessed all kinds of miracles. Never give up a dream that is calling to you.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And I just really want to thank you for being here with us on Inspiration Whispers. We are so grateful to have you as one of our Inspiration Whispers. And I want to thank everybody for watching today and remembering that in a world that needs inspiration and purpose, you can find it and change the world. Have a good day, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you.